Coming to you from the Export Beer Garden studio, it is the Champagne Rugby Podcast, now brought to you by MAXRaft, fitting insulated concrete slabs nationwide. The first step to a warm, comfortable home, and they're bringing you the chance to head to your team's next home game. Text HEAT and your super team to 326. That's HEAT and your super team to 326 to win a double pass to your team's next home match. And James McOnie, thank you very much for joining me. My name is Tony Lyall, and what a treat to be here on what is quite an auspicious day, a magical day for fans of retro jerseys. It is, of course, the 1st of May, and just hitting the shelves, Classic, the new jersey sponsor, has decided to do what Adidas simply refused to do in 2 decades of dominance in the jersey market, and release some throwback jerseys. And I can say I've already been online to Boomfers Vintage Instagram page and purchased myself one. I assume you've got a Chiefs one?
Well, the Chiefs did do a throwback jersey a couple of years ago, so Adidas allowed it. But it was the day one jersey, so it was very stripy, and a lot of the cool throwback jerseys have got little blocks and sort of flashes of colour on the shoulder. So this year they've gone day one again, so they've gone stripy, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying, what about the one that still had, like, even with the maroon, because we were paired with Harbour there for a while, and then there's another one that's kind of like little blocks. Almost Lego pattern on the shoulders, and that's supposedly for next year. But what about the Landers?
Well, the Landers is a thing of beauty. Obviously, it's that sort of, 97, 98, 99 jersey that when you think of
Little
the old
blocks.
school ones, you think of that, you think of Anton Oliver, you think of Tane Randall, you think of Josh Kronfeld, and it really is. They've absolutely nailed it. But I did think they missed the trick, the Chiefs, by going with essentially the one they'd already released a couple of years ago. But it is wild to me that Adidas only ever did one throwback jersey. They sort of did maybe a bit of a wink at one stage with one of the Blues ones that almost looked like it could have been one of the old ones, but everyone else is crying out for it.
The Blues did a throwback jersey.
Hardly, though.
2 weeks ago.
But when Adidas had it.
I can't even remember if they did one, but no,
No, everyone's done a throwback jersey. They're all released as of today. Hurricanes have...
Because the Crusaders had one 2 weeks ago. They did their one, and the Blues did their one, which as soon as you look at it, you go, Joeli Vanderi, Ronnie Clark.
I think Carlos Spencer when I see that.
A little bit of young Carlos, which is early Sheldon, I guess.
Well, they
young Sheldon.
I think the Blues jumped the gun and they released it right at the start of the season when Classic announced that they were doing the sponsorship. They're like, here's our Classic jersey. And everyone's like, oh, we're doing ours way later in the season. And they were like, oh, shit, we've actually already put ours on sale. So that's been out there.
And the Crusaders.
The Crusaders, a few weeks ago, they released theirs. So I think it was the game against the Blues, they decided to do their heritage jersey for the week when they knew there's going to be a big game. And it is interesting to see the market for these old jerseys, because I'm a big Highlanders fan. I've always wanted to get one of the old legitimate 97, 98, 99 ones, but I was sort of left it too long. And it's insane. They're about $500 on Trade Me for a jersey that is 25 years old. There's people almost running rackets. They'll slurp them all up. They've got these big piles of capital somewhere, and they're buying them all and they sell them instantly at a resale. They're almost going to thrift shops every day. And I'm just thinking, hey, maybe just let the fans have some jerseys. Spread the love. We want to have the old jerseys, and we want to see the zoo down there in formerly Carisbrook, now the Sistine. I'm getting ahead of myself. We want to see all the old beautiful jerseys there, not in some bloody millionaire's wardrobe.
Well, this is the problem, because as soon as somebody realised you can make money out of jerseys, there's so many websites, vintage, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I remember getting contacted by one of them saying, I'll give you a Waikato jersey if you wear it on TV and you plug the website or whatever it was. And I thought, that's quite cool. I've always wanted that Waikato jersey, but then I went, no, I don't know. It's just another freaking jersey. I've got one somewhere. And also, I interview enough of those old Waikato players that I'm hoping that one day they'll say, oh, here's all my jerseys. And I'll go, geez, you've got a lot there.
It's a lot of jerseys.
Don't need all of those jerseys. What size are they?
Is that extra large?
Yeah.
May
I'll take it. But
probably fit me.
So the jersey market is massive. So we've interviewed one guy who's got so many Warriors jerseys, because Warriors merch is huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably top of the tree at the moment, I reckon.
I think probably at the moment, I'd say so.
And I did see Joe Vangana, who you probably see at Te Aratū Peninsula a little bit as well at the supermarket, and asked him how many old Warriors jerseys he had, sidling up to Big Joe thinking this is a good match.
Yep.
He goes, I've only got 2 left. I went, oh, okay, that's.
Well, you wonder about those guys, the old players, if they kept many of them or if they didn't really see the value. I know John Kerwin, I've seen on his Instagram, he put up a little video, and I think his wife sort of made a display, and it has all the different jerseys. It's got a little like box for all the different countries. So he obviously just swapped his jerseys a lot.
Yeah.
So there's a Wales one, a Tonga one. There's all the different countries he played for. And then at the bottom, there's this Warriors kit, all in the same. And I look at it, I'm like, that must be tens of thousands of dollars worth of kit there. But I guess
who was that?
JK, John Kerwin.
Oh yes, the Warriors jerseys, of course. So the difference is with the All Blacks now, every test you play, every test you play, every game you make, you get a jersey. But back in the day, I'd say when Joe Vangana was playing prop for the Warriors, you probably got to keep that number 8 jersey at the end of the season. This is yours, Joe.
Yeah.
And then this is yours, Sideru. And this is yours, Logan Swan, blah, blah, blah. And so it's a bit different. Richie McCaw, theoretically, has 140, whatever it was,
I think they even
jerseys.
have 2 jerseys a game. They swap at half-time. They put a fresh kit on every single game. So there's 2 jerseys because they get one to swap and one to keep.
One to swap, one to keep it. Yes, exactly. So that's the modern way. And so now you find all those old school players who have those beautiful cotton jerseys. A little bit shocking in the wet. Especially Christian Cullen reckon he never wore a jersey that fitted him in his entire All Blacks career.
Yeah. It was nuts. Every video you see of him, he's swimming in his jersey.
Yeah.
It's tucked into his pants as tight as it gets. And that was even, you see Central Vikings highlights, they were too big. Hurricanes, always too big. The Sevens, it was insane. They were like made for Jonah Lomu. It reminded me of me playing, because I'm a lanky guy and I play down in Dunedin, and they'd always have, you get the Locks jerseys, and it would have been literally James Ryan playing in it the season before.
Yeah.
And then I get it on. I'm like, hey, is there one that isn't absolutely massive? And it was the old cotton, so thick it would soak up the water almost. I don't know who they decided it was a good idea to make it as the most spongent material known to man.
So I'm happy to plug Classic here. Have you bought your Classic jersey?
I've already bought my Classic
How
jersey.
much did it
was
cost?
160 New Zealand dollars, which I'm okay with.
Okay.
I haven't bought a jersey in years and years. I got given a Highlanders one by the good people at Classic. So, when they came and took it over, they gave me one. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I was going to buy one anyway because, I see it as this is the first year. Like when the Adidas ones came out, I wish I had the first year that Adidas made a Highlanders one and then a Canterbury one. And I'm like you, I don't need a million jerseys. I'm not a hoarder of jerseys. I just like one that I really like and then maybe a couple of other notable ones. But I was like, I want this Classic retro one. It'll be the one I wear the whole time. I want to wear it a lot. I genuinely want to wear it. Don't put it in a cupboard, hide it away. I want to wear it all the time. So I was like, I'm going to buy this one for sure. Invested some money, gave Classic a little bit of coin, and went through Boomfers Vintage on Instagram, who's just some dude giving it a crack.
Was he the one we put on Crowd Goes Wild? Is he from Raglan?
I don't know where he's from. It very well could be. He actually messaged me when he saw me showing interest about it online and said, I'll buy it. I've put them up on my site at midnight. And I mean, it saves some Rebel Sport or the other guys. You want to give some money to some local
You got to go to Boomfer. Is he going to get
Boomfer.
sued by Justin Marshall? Because he tried to trademark Boomfer.
Did he?
He did. It was with the patent or whatever you call it. There must be some register
where
you go, hey, this is the name, and it's Boomfer, 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 and it was like Justin Marshall. So. Because somebody wanted to start a Boomfer lager, but it had to go through Marshy.
Yeah, I wondered
not
if
like him urinating
it
it out, but
I thought it was not literally going through.
No.
I thought it was Marshy who was starting the Boomfer lager, but was he not involved?
Oh no, maybe it was that, but there were other people really keen on the Boomfer name, and I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of just saying, "Hey, Marshy, you okay if we flick a few pingers for this?"
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
He just says, "Yeah, sweet."
I guess he did start saying. You'd almost say that. Yeah, that's fair enough. There's sometimes people try to claim a word, and you're like, I don't know. I remember when old current Prime Minister, former Air New Zealand CEO, tried to trademark the word kia ora, and we're a bit like, hey, buddy, pretty sure it's just hello. I don't know if you can be trademarking kia ora. Ironically, now that he's like, hey, don't speak their language. So it all comes around in circles, doesn't it?
Here is, I think the Boomfer thing came from the Crusaders players themselves. So when Marshy was the first one to get a TV gig, he's boomfering all over the place, and there must be some Crusader who said, I started Boomfer, like a Chris Jack, not Chris Jack, but who's the one who's before, there's a lot of Jacks who played, but, Stu Lowe, he probably said that was mine, Boomfer, and unfortunately, Marshy's owned it. It's
he really has.
He went out and just went, no, I'm Boomfer, it's me.
Saw Logan Swan at the Warriors the other day, just to go back way to what you were saying earlier, who'd you name drop him, saw him, had to completely resist the urge to just go Logan Swan as I walked past him, but I held my nerve and just gave him a little eyebrow acknowledgement. and then walked past.
He's got the body of a swimmer. He's got these long limbs. He looks like he could freaking take on Michael Phelps and just go, fuck you, mate.
Yeah, Michael Phelps, he certainly could. I think he's a real estate agent now, old Logan Swan.
He is?
Could be wrong.
He is.
I was inundated with famous people. I saw Logan Swan, genuinely walked 3 more steps, saw Mike McRoberts, and then walked 3 more steps, and then saw that little blonde kid from the ANZ ad, and he's, slapping bloody Sunil's dad all over the park, and he's like, your dad's calling you. He's like, your mum's calling you, or whatever he says.
Oh, he was there.
I saw that little blonde kid, and I was like, how do I know this kid? That's a weird thing to know a kid. Then I was like, it's the mum's calling you kid. Again, resisted the urge to say, your mum's calling you, mate, because it's creepy.
If you play in a sports team in Auckland and you see a Swan with I think it's a double N, on the team list, you know that team or that player is going to be good. It's one of those names in Auckland sport, generally rugby league, softball, bit of netball as well. We had a Swan play for my daughter's netball team, best player on the team by miles, 2 years younger than everyone else, outstanding player. Shelby Swan, she's good at softball now, possibly going to America. Anyway, so obviously, there are surnames in certain areas. So you're from
McDonald.
McDonald, obviously.
McDonald is the big surname where I'm from.
In Marlborough, the McDonalds, you just go, okay, there's a McDonald in there.
Yeah, Leon Quinton, to name a few.
Problems.
They go way back. And speaking of rugby league, and I just wanted to make a mention of this early in the podcast. I wore this shirt today, just coincidentally, but it ties in well, and especially that we're talking about rugby league, because I saw something that did shock me, and this is less about rugby union, more about sport in general, coming out of this very studio, actually, could have been this very seat. And it was Di Hemwood talking about the Warriors and the bandwagon supporters. And, I'm a long-suffering Highlanders fan, also a long-suffering Warriors fan, and the Highlanders got a win this weekend, which made me happy. We'd been on a really bad run of form up until then, and I was like, oh, good. And it was good to see a few people putting up some comments and stuff saying, the true fans being like, yeah, here we are, let's do it. It's our time to shine. And it got me thinking about the idea of like bandwagon supporters. And then when I saw the video of Di really berating bandwagon fans, it kicked me off, because I think like where people wherever they come in to being a fan, they're a fan. They're the same level of fan as everyone. And the idea of being like these people who consider themselves OG fans, being like, oh, you bandwagoners, you don't know what it's like. You jump in and you jump off. They don't own the fandom of that club. Who are these people to say, hey, you can't get in? I say there's room for everyone, and people will come on and off at their own rate. I don't think it's for people to be like, oh, your guests here. They don't own the jersey. No one owns the jersey. A jersey for any club, that's a taonga that everyone is passed on through the hands. No one owns it. There's no one to say, you are guests here. Everyone's welcome. People are just coming to terms with it in their own time.
Unless you buy that jersey from Boomfa Vintage, then you own it.
Then you do own it. You do own it. It's a lovely, and just that idea of being like, oh, the Pinot Noirs are coming in and poisoning it. They're cursing us, these new fan. I think they think they're better than other people.
So this is where you need to take on Di on 7 days in the debate section. But he invariably wins that by starting low and slow and then whipping himself up into a frenzy. I can almost hear, do they play the national anthem behind him when he does it?
It wouldn't surprise me.
He gets a little bit of assistance there. And then by the end, he's slamming the table, the desk. So if you can match Di on 7 days with that sort of energy about bandwagon fans,
let them on. I just don't understand the reticence people have to say, oh, they're not real fans like us who've been here since day one. They aren't, because as soon as the results go bad, everyone starts shitting on them. So like, well, this is a bad time. You guys are blaming us for the loss. The Pinot Noir fans, they're saying, oh, it's your fault we're losing. Like, hey, we're just enjoying this new game that they should be welcoming them in. As Highlanders fans, there's room for everyone. Come, stay in the good times or the bad. We won't kick you out.
That's what I was going to say, is that in my experience as a Chiefs fan, I've spent most of my time trying to convert people like a bloody Jehovah's Witness, saying, come and join the Chiefs. Why not? This is a really cool team, blah, blah, blah. And then especially when the geographic boundaries are sort of going, it's quite interesting because Tim Southey, the Chiefs at the start, had Northland as part of the catchment area. So Tim Southey is a massive, rabid Chiefs fan. Helps that he lives in Cambridge now. But the thing about it is, like, I've got mates who are from Waikato towns, and they went down to Dunedin University, and I get the feeling, Otago, I get the feeling that they actually prefer the Highlanders, and I'm like, come on, man. I know where you grew up. Where I know your entire family. You've got to be Chiefs. You've got to be Chiefs for life. And so I'm spending an inordinate amount of time just checking in to say, have you turned yet? Have you converted to the Chiefs? Have you thought about Chiefs mana
So you
and
are
letting
trying
it
to-
into your life. Because sometimes when you're watching a game, you look around the neighbourhood. I mean, you're a Landers fan. I'd still love to watch a game with you, of course, but sometimes you just want another Chiefs mana fan. You just go, and I can't go to Devonport to G Lane and his gated community over there.
No.
It's way too fancy. So for me, I'm just going, where are my Chiefs at? And I've got a mate who lives in Te Aratū, who's from Putaruru.
Oh, great.
And he has denied the Chiefs most of his adult life, and I don't get it.
He's turned his back. Well, who does he support?
No one. He
No
likes
one.
basketball.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's a crying shame.
you got to choose one.
It is, and I will say it is, and I've probably mentioned this a lot of times. It's the only bad part about being a Highlander supporter and not living in Dunedin is I would just love to live in the city that my team plays. Like the Blues fans in Auckland, you get to watch a game every week. You could go anytime you wanted.
I know.
Just roll up to the stadium. It's like a special occasion when the Highlanders play, and usually the ACC's like, hey, can you come do the commentary? So I can't even go to the game anyway. It's like Christmas. They finally come to Auckland. And who cares? Win, Laura Drew, whatever it is, whatever the saying is.
Win Laura Drew.
Win, Laura Drew.
Win Laura Drew.
Win Laura
you
Drew.
can win Laura Drew.
Win Laura Drew.
She'll work for you for a day.
You're down there, you're drinking spates, you're
PA.
painting your face, scarfy colours, not in an offensive way. But you know, you're excited. It is a great occasion. But I would love to just be able to wander down, watch anyone play anyone, and be my team.
I'm the same. I worked at the Blues for a while, emceeing the lounge, and it was a good time because you sort of all the corporates would come in. But what you'd notice is that if there was a Highlanders game or a Crusaders game, all the jerseys were out. There was so many fans, so many Highlanders and Crusaders fans in Auckland. I'm going, okay, well, this is kind of, and I think that's an Otago University thing, right? You go down there, burn a couch, do a pelican, and then you come up to Auckland for your first job. So it was always thought there's always going to be demand for those games, but watching Eden Park and the dwindling numbers, like you say, how good is it? Actually, Eden Park now, you can go and choose your seat.
Yeah.
You can go, I'm not going to go 24K. I'm over there. I'm just
Buy the cheapest seat in the place, go sit in the prime real estate. It is a real treat. And the Highlanders are playing 18th of May, smack bang in the middle of the Comedy Festival, which is annoying for me time-wise. But
what are we going to do for that?
I'm going to be there. It's thereabouts, I don't know. And you just got to go soak it in.
Okay.
I'll wear my new retro jersey that I've bought. Hopefully there'll be a big crew of other, scarfies of some variation, yelling and shouting and, win Laura Drew.
Win Laura Drew. Where is Laura Drew? Can you get in touch because we're going to give you away.
We've got to find
for a
Laura
day.
Drew.
Yeah, if there is. Yeah, Laura Drew.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. After that Cinderella discussion, we'll be back to discuss the weekend's games. And James, we're back. I think it probably is crazy to call you James, by the way. It shook me to my core as I said
I
it.
was about to go.
I think
Most people would just go
only
McOnie.
ever called you McOnie in my life and then said James, and I didn't like it.
Nobody does.
Big day on Saturday. I think we had a shit ton of games right in a row, 2 on Friday. And I think we saved the best to last. So let's put our thing down, flip it and reverse it and start with that game. Because I stayed up late watching it. I'm sure you did as well. The Reds versus Blues, Bloods versus Crips, the battle continues. And Sonny Bill said it best when he said it's an ongoing game that we are watching. And I know what he meant. He meant it was topsy-turvy. It was going backwards and forwards.
It was a ya-ya ding-dong.
It was an absolute classic at Suncorp, a stunner in Suncorp. The Blues winning in overtime with a try for Sam Knock, 34-41. And can you think of a better game in recent memory than that? It was something else.
Oh, look, it was a pretty much one of those ones where you just go barn burner, humdinger, absolute doozy. The best thing about it was the lead changes, and that really is the hallmark of it. I mean, I love a good comeback. I've been here for years, but the thing is, if you watch the way that game had stories within stories, so you had Tim Ryan, this young winger, scoring a hat-trick on debut, including a try for the ages.
Yeah.
His final try, he hurdled someone, did a massive sidestep, swerved inside the fullback. I'm like, this is probably the best individual try I've seen this season.
Yep.
And so that was Tim Ryan pretty much making this huge name for himself, 20-year-old winger for the Reds. And everyone goes, holy shit, that guy's good. The Reds might win this and not knock the Blues off. But then back they came.
Yep.
Kurt Eklund with a sort of 2-metre run to the line, drew the scores, or the scores were level after old Plum Dog millionaire kick the conversion. And then with time up on the clock, the Reds actually had the ball. Good on them for trying to win the whole thing in regulation time. But there was a random little sort of slip or a turnover. I mean, you got to remember it's a sultry old wet, soggy, well not soggy, but humid night.
Humid, damp,
moist night in Brizzy. And then it goes out to Caleb Clarkedashion. He gets on the outside of his marker. And then you just go, this is the Caleb Clark we all love to see, galloping. And then Sam Knock running the support line and finishes it off. That was like huge game. And I was sort of watching out the corner of my eye going, I should pay attention to this. It's actually the best game of the season.
Yeah. Well, I was watching something else. I was watching, I had a comedy show, got home, watched the end of the Highlanders. I had commentary here is what I had.
Yeah.
Commentated the Highlanders game, went home. I was like, I might watch the last episode of Shogun, which is a beautiful little Japanese sort of Game of Thrones, which is irrelevant to rugby. But then I thought, you know what, maybe I'll watch this Blues game. I'll flick over and tune in. And I'm so glad I did. It was such a good choice. The game it had it all. And I love the Tim Ryan, I believe you call him, how they call him the junkyard dog. So he's got that good like Aussie nickname. It kind of reminds me of, the Honey Badger-esque, but he was...
Early nickname as well. Early.
I think he must have been, from what I was trying to glean from the commentators who obviously knew him, he must have been carving it up in the Queensland club scene.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, who's this guy? And, junkyard dog, he's beaten, but he's hard to put away. He's lithe, he's small. And that try, he gassed Mark Talia. He turned someone else inside out to score his third. He was juiced up. The whole crowd was loving it. I saw Jeff Tumunga Allen on the side sort of giving it the big TikTok dance, head wobble after he'd scored. It was scintillating. And then
you love to see
came the Blues.
You love to see a TikTok dance on the sideline.
Love to see it. And, I mean, I'll pose you this question. How big is the metaphorical cock on Hoskins Satutu? That man is absolutely everywhere. He's incredible. For me, he's the player of the Super Rugby Pacific.
He's definitely got big Hoss energy. He set up, I guess, that the attack in the last seconds because he took off on this rampaging run, sold a dummy, went an extra 20 metres. And the thing about it is, like, I always say this about the New Zealand players. I was doing the pod with you last year, and I was saying Mike Hoskins Satutu has to go to the World Cup.
Yep.
Didn't go because New Zealand's always guilty of leaving perhaps a world-class player that every other nation would fucking kill for. We leave them at home. And so this is the difference is like with Mike Hoskins Satutu, you go, oh yeah, we get it, but we need him to work on this or whatever it is. And it's like, are you crazy? Even England, safe old England would say, give me that Mike Hoskins Satutu. We'll find a place for him, whether it's just being this bloody freak off the bench or whatever. They'll make it work like Project Runway.
Yeah, well, they need a man like him now more than ever after Vunipola was tasered in Mallorca, I believe, over the weekend.
Was he?
I think he was tasered twice in a kerfuffle with police, a late-night brouhaha. But that's neither here nor there.
I do like a late-night brouhaha.
It must be fun to see. If you were there watching and you saw a frontline English rugby player having a brouhaha, a bit of a blue with the local constabulary, you'd sit and watch it. I pull my phone out.
There was a taser incident at Kawhia Harbour, which is sort of like one of my sort of hometown areas out on the west coast, south of Raglan. And I remember it was the local cop got the taser out, but it didn't quite work. A malfunctioning taser. You need that freaking taser to work. Otherwise, you're in massive trouble because the target of your taser's generally got backup anyway in a town like that. And so you needed to tase real once and real well. I'm not saying in the face like The Hangover, but just get the target,
But I think as well, the tasee, has usually, they've had performance-enhancing drugs a lot of the time. They might be coming off a 3-day bender. So you need both of those barbs to protrude into the skin and to administer the full shock to knock them out. Otherwise, if anything, you've given them like a cup of coffee because they get a bit of a shock and they're like, I feel pretty good. What a time to be alive. You've actually done...
even worse, you've just thrown a slinky at them sort of thing, and they're like, fuck that, spat it away.
They pull you in. It's like now they've got a rope linked directly to your arm and you're like, oh shit, like it's the whale pulling in the harpoon. They're gonna devastate the Japanese scientific vessel, which is the police officer in that instance. What I'm trying to say here is Hoskins Satutu, what a guy. Caleb Clark back to his big bummed best. It was so good to see him. I sometimes think he's guilty of almost being too good.
Yeah.
And he'll often break the line and then he's like a dog chasing cars who catches one. He doesn't know what to do with himself, to paraphrase The Dark Knight. He will bust through and then often get isolated and get turned over, but he was just able to find support after he beat the first tackle. He was charging around. It was
He might lead the league in tries and assists. So that's how good Mike Hoskins Tutu is.
It's outrageous.
So that's the thing. It's like the stats didn't. I don't think the stats lied last year either. But they were. I know Fozzie was searching for something. You know, he just wanted to go. I've got this chance to go down in history, in the annals. The annals of history. And he thought the only way to make those annals is to pick, this team of, I want Shannon Frizzell to come right. I need all this sort of kind of stuff. Whereas if you went and looked at the stats, and they're big on data in rugby.
Yeah.
If you look at the stats, they'll be saying, why aren't you picking this guy, Mike Hoskins Tutu? However, there was a track record of doing that again. I wonder whether this is my ongoing point that New Zealand rugby selectors are overthinkers. Remember Lockie Boshier. I know I'm a Chiefs fan, massive homer, but the thing is, Lockie Boshier was the number one in turnovers, basically the best in the world at it. But they found some kind of reason why, he doesn't do this as well as this guy, that guy. And it's like, well, every other nation is choosing their turnover king. That's all they do. They go, well, you're in. Okay, who else we got to plug these gaps? And maybe, I think Razor's going to probably right the wrongs and go, okay, Hoskins, come on back.
Yeah, come on back is certainly something I've said before. And
it's definitely something you could say. I mean, and why not? Why not say it? Because I think it's one of those things, it's just a bit of warning, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to give people some warning before you invite them to
come
do
on
that
back.
sort of thing. Yeah, you really do. And we can talk about now. Is there anything else you want to say about this Reds vs Blues game?
Just that it was outstanding and it was a good advertisement for Super Rugby because NRL's been kicking its ass for the past few weeks, and I think Super Rugby needed a game like that. And the difference is that it happened in a week or a couple of weekends where the NRL games there were no absolute barn burning humdingers, and so I was just going, this is good for Super Rugby. You had the best contest of the past couple of weeks.
The only thing that I will say to that, and it's just I don't know if you can help it or what you can do, but just it's a scheduling nightmare because the best game to watch kicked off at 9 p.m. on Saturday night. So it's the worst viewing time ever. Would it kill Super Rugby to chuck a game on a Sunday afternoon when everyone is crying out for something to watch? I love chucking on an NRL game, 4 o'clock on Sunday, which is the Warriors are playing this week on 4 o'clock on a Sunday. It's the perfect viewing time for a game, but the Super Rugby just seems completely reluctant to change in the worst possible way. It's classic rugby of we know best. You shut the fuck up. We know best. You shush your little mouth.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't understand. We need them in the doing recovery and swimming in the pool.
Totally. We need them in the pool. We need them in the tops.
Get them in the pool.
I need to see men in Speedos.
Yeah. Budgie smuggling day is Sunday.
That's Sunday.
Budgie smuggling day.
Let them play in the budgie smugglers. It just annoys me. And I just need to say this as well. Everything we say, any criticism we say of New Zealand rugby, we say because we love the game and because we want it to be better.
This is a Sanzar thing, but would it have killed the Blues to actually lose that game and give Aussie rugby the boost it really needs? Like somebody's going to help them, otherwise they're going to get swamped by the NRL and they're going to say, well, frickin' Caleb Clark killed it for us. That was the greatest game. We had Junkyard Dog running amok, and then you just go and fuck us over like that at the death.
Yeah, fuck it, Harvard them over at death. I'm going to throw away the schedule now and just say this to you, because I thought that when I thought the Reds were going to win, I was thinking to myself, shit, is this the year when we lose the Bledisloe? Because it's been a long time coming. We've had it for 48,000 years. But this is the year already. This must be the most winning percentage of Aussie teams over New Zealand teams. And the season's not even done. I mean, I made that stat up. But it seems like they've won a few. I mean, the big result on the weekend, obviously, was the Hurricanes going down to the Brumbies, previously undefeated. Everyone's saying, it's the greatest team on earth, even though they have lost basically all their star players at this point. But the Brumbies win. The Reds almost won. I just wonder if this could be the year when it only takes one hiccup and then it could be the year the Bledisloe heads back over the ditch.
Yeah, I think so. There's a high chance that Joe Schmidt will get it right first time. He's a real stickler for accuracy, and I don't think he'll want to piss around too much, but he will next year get Suali'i, I think, from the Roosters.
Yep.
And there'll be a few opportunities probably to to build again and make it stronger, even stronger next year. But I was looking at that team. My mates from the Kickoffs and Kick-Ons podcast, rugby podcast.
Nice.
It's old Gitto, Drew Mitchell, Adam Ashley Cooper, and the Professor.
Are you mates with those guys?
Yeah, well, I'm mates with the Professor. I'm not really mates with the other guys.
Professor's the bull bloke?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
James
right.
Rochford. Yeah, good man.
Nick
Great
Rado's
man.
mate.
Yes, Nick Rado is good friends with him. Probably closer to the Professor than I am, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, I'm more nutty Professor kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Eddie Murphy when he's, dressing up as all the characters. Just the range on the guy.
Fat Suit Eddie Murphy is a great Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy's the GOAT. I wish he'd come back and do more stand-up, but...
So, yeah, those guys picked their Wallabies team, and it was pretty strong. I mean, you do get guys who probably are a bit like All Blacks, just easing their way into it. Like Valentini is starting to hit his straps and become incredible. Then you've got Ikitau, who didn't go to the World Cup, and now is proving, of course, that Eddie Jones we all knew that he couldn't select for shit.
No, he was awful.
He was terrible. And so, wonderful coach, though, and an inspiring person. But no, the thing is, I think there's they've got enough, what would you call it, talent to do it.
Yeah.
It's just that whether Schmitty can get in there and convince them to go to war for them.
What's the schedule for the Bledisloe Cup? We're playing a game. Are we playing an Eden Park test this year?
We're playing against England at Eden Park, and we're playing, I think, is it 2 tests against England?
It does appear that way. I think we're playing 2 against England, and then our games are over in Australia is the first game, which is, I mean, that's
Ripe
one
for the
definitely
picking.
ripe for the picking.
Yep.
And then, and if this isn't ominous, the second game in the Bledisloe series is in Wellington at Sky Stadium, the place where John Eales kicked the Wallabies to glory the last time they won the Bledisloe. And I mean, I'm not saying I don't want them to win, obviously.
No,
but
I'm agreeing with you. I think I've thought that for a while, that the Wallabies are looking good, and that last year in Dunedin, we got out of jail against the Wallabies.
Did we ever?
And then they technically kind of had the test won in Melbourne the other year when Foley had the argument with the French ref. I mean, he just needed to kick the freaking ball out and defend one set.
I say go, and you didn't go.
Yeah.
I say go.
That's
What a
the
guy.
one, yeah.
I say we play.
We play.
We play.
We play. You play with yourself. Your play is French for your good.
That's the classic. I'm a massive All Blacks fan, as we've always said a million times, and even I was like, gee whiz, that's tough. That's tough.
It is. And so
toughest call I've ever seen on a
So
rugby
the thing
field.
is, like, they haven't been that far away from us for a certain test, but then there's always the blowout ones that make you wonder, do you guys even know about this game? Like,
Yeah.
last week or 2 weeks ago, you were great. So I think Schmidt will probably iron out that sort of inconsistency.
Yeah, they're just so shallow across the board.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a couple of players in every team who have been so deep-rooted.
Yeah.
And this is probably the time where we don't have that. These, eight or nine, it seems like 100. I mean, maybe there's a couple, but the 100 test All Blacks in key positions who hold the thing together, hold it to the bedrock so that we're firm when it gets a little shaky, where we don't have that at the moment, but neither do the Wallabies. So, I mean, it could be sort of 2 teams who are
Finding their
sliding
way.
around, the tectonic plates sliding around. Will they make Pangea? Will they make the other? Land?
Is it like Will Ferrell when he's doing the Icecapades thing at the start of Blades of Glory, where he's just all over the place, spewing on the ice and running into people and stuff. But then by the end of it, he's grabbing old what's-his-face by the crutch and just lifting him up in the air and just going,
John
"Check
Cena,
me
what's
out."
his name? No, not John Cena. Something like that, you know what I mean? John Hayter, is that his name?
Yeah.
We'll look that up. I'll Google that later on.
Hayter, yeah, it is Hayter.
It is?
I think it is Hayter.
Happy with that poll, by the way.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We've probably only got a bit more time to talk about. Let's just go for 2 more games. Should we go Waratahs Chiefs?
Yeah, let's go Waratahs Chiefs because I know you want to and you brought it up.
Shooter Stevenson pulling his hammy while he scored a try.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer. I saw him at the Chiefs yesterday and he said, maybe poking your tongue out activates something in your neural system and it's all connected and perhaps it's down.
You
the
poke your tongue out and
your hammy
pulls up.
and it pulls your hammy. I went, shit, that's quite good. So of course I went home and Googled about tongue poking and went down quite a rabbit hole that I don't really want to talk about.
Yeah,
but
ended up
anyway,
in some stepsister action.
There's a lot going on.
That'll happen.
Come on back. And if you'd like to this, can that be our sign off at the end of the show?
Come on back.
Come on back. And then The Summer Penny Fennell killed Tane Edmund.
He killed him.
He killed him. So R.I.P. We love the guy, but as far as Summer Penny's concerned, all first fives must die. And I did see him at Chiefs yesterday and went, I'm a first five, leave me alone. And he just looked at me and went, I would kill you as well if you weren't 50-something years old and just hanging around like a muppet.
Firstly, it was very annoying to me watching the commentators, obviously Australian, banging on about how it should have been a red card. We should kill. He should be banned for life, as if it's the worst tackle ever. But I will say this: it was pretty late, and it was pretty reckless. A penalty, I think, would have been pretty justified in that instance. It was definitely after the ball had gone. He wasn't looking. He blindsided him, and there was a wrap, but it was a wrap in the weakest sense of the term. I think a cheeky penalty probably would have been justified. I mean, I don't mind it playing on, but the more you watch it, you think, the ball really is nowhere near him anymore.
And in real time, the ball's quite close. So, like, you can't let players sell dummies. You got to basically take otherwise you got to tackle them, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, there was no way he was selling a dummy in that position. He was a sitting duck, and that's why it became a tackle bag scenario. I'm actually against crash hits from bombs, where people take a kick and they hit the deck, because to me they're a sitting duck as well. And so we often didn't put that in Smashed 'em, bro, and crowd goes wild, because you're basically waiting for the ball to come down and boom, and then suddenly someone's just basically like a train going through you.
Yeah, Richard Carr, who versed Quade Cooper in the Rugby World Cup 2011 semi-final.
We'll allow that one.
That was a beauty.
And that was Tokoroa on Tokoroa, by the way.
Oh, but a toke on toke.
Toke on toke action.
Yeah, we toke it to the left-hand side. I need to say this. I've realised I've left myself wide open for criticism here. I'm pro no penalty. That's my preferred option. But if they're going to bitch and moan, the only thing you could give it is maybe a penalty. It's not in this red card, yellow card shit. So should be play on.
Exactly. I look at it and just go, well, always. I remember when I played first five, there was a try scored after pass the ball. I never saw the ball hit the hands of the outside player. Got absolutely smashed out at Waitemata Westies. They were like big guys just coming in and just wanting to hurt you,
stomp on you.
Yeah, and I remember my coach saying, "Oh, that's the best pass you've thrown all season." I said, "I didn't." And he goes, "Yeah, I know you didn't see it, but that's actually what you have to do, is pretty much take the hit and get rid of the ball." And he said, "You don't. Most of the best passes you see, you actually most of your best passes, you never see them hit the hands of the following player, because you're so close to that defensive line, you'll get jolted." And so all you can do really, and you don't necessarily want to think about it, but you can just brace yourself for it. And that's the problem, is Edmed watched the ball as if to go, this is going to be nice.
Yeah.
And what he should have done is gone, flick, here's a guy coming for me, and,
He really was ball watching in the best possible. What a glorious pass.
What a lovely pass.
He was thinking about, I'm going to have a little Powerade at halftime, and then smash. But the thing is as well, he is a ginger-haired man, which means, they're very resilient people, very dense, very muscular. He would have bounced back, and he did bounce back, actually. He wasn't injured he took a while to bounce back, but he got there.
And one thing I'd argue with Summer Penny Fennell is they're looking for the wrap. He was trying to wrap with one of the arms, and it's hard to wrap when you hit that hard, It's hard to wrap when you hit that hard. We're playing rugby, not playing cards, but the thing is, it is hard to wrap when you're going, because that's the thing.
Totally.
The best tackles, you'll be fucking hard pressed to get the wrap going.
He almost bounced out of his wrap. He hit him so hard, he bounced, because he had his arm behind him, he sort of bounced through and hit the ground. That's just footy. That's the great irony, is it's all these old boys in the commentary box, all these old players. The whole time they're saying the game's gone soft. Oh, you can't do anything these days. You can't say anything. It's PC gone mad. Oh, what if I want to say the N-word? And then when there's a hit like that, they're like, oh, red card him. Oh, come on. What is it? The game too soft? Or is that fine?
They always bleat the Aussies, and you notice that the most in league, they bleat so much. And it's but normally, if you think about the Warriors before this current Webster edition, is that it's they haven't had to bleat. They've just basically kicked them while they're down, and they prefer that. That's definitely the Blocker Roach method.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, the Warriors, they always lose the plot, don't they? They just haven't got the concentration. It's like, what are you saying? What are you saying, Steve Roach?
It's always a bit problematic.
Yeah.
There's no player that can just play heads-up rugby. They just need what do they need, Blocker?
Disjointed, and I just don't think there's any planning there, and you can't actually see anyone leading them. It's like, again, Blocker, would you like to explain yourself there?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We've worked ourselves into a flavor.
A Blocker frenzy.
We're going to run this past the lawyers, and we'll be back momentarily. And we're back on the Champagne Rugby Podcast, and time to talk about this week's TAB Game Day Good Punt. And last week, we went for a 6-way absolute human centipede, and we were only let down by the Hurricanes. And I can't believe I've been talking about the Hurricanes so far, losing to the Brumbies over there. Just one game too many, almost 7 in a row. They got to 8, and they absolutely dumped in the bed.
Icarus flying too close to the sun is what happened with the Hurricanes, and that Game Day Good Punt. I was thinking, shit, man, we've got through that.
Yeah.
Looks unscathed. Drua got up, and then the bloody old Canes, eh?
Yeah, absolutely devastating. And also, the Highlanders winning 7-6.
Oh, yeah, they helped.
Game of the season. Wow. I mean, I feel like I've just been back in teams this whole thing and then dissing them in the next sentence. But I love the Highlanders more than anyone. And geez, that was a labour of love on Saturday night. 7-6. But they did the job. But the Canes, you dirty bastards. So in this week's TAB Game Day Good Punt, we've actually backed the Canes again for some godforsaken reason to score the first points in that game against the Waratahs, and we've combined that with the Blues to score the first, and those are tries, by the way, first scoring play in both of those games for the Hurricanes and the Blues.
First try.
First scoring play in the game.
Oh, right.
So you can't do a penalty, none of this penalty nonsense. It's got to be a try from the Hurricanes or a try from the Blues.
From the Blues, right.
And that's paying a whopping $4.51. So
that's all right.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not a bad we come back there.
We'll put out of our misery on Friday night, because me and G Lane will be commentating the Tars and against the Hurricanes. That's down at the Cape Town Sky Stadium, and then you've got the Rebels hosting the old Blues over in Melbs, and so we'll know. We're good bet.
Yeah, it is nice to be able to wrap it all up on that Friday night, and you can head to the TAB website, tab.co.nz, or download the TAB app to check out all the rugby union promos and boosted odd markets for yourself on that one. It is a bit of a doozy. We do have this sort of mega Saturday again. So good to be back into these 6-game rounds. It should never be 4. If you're listening, NZ Rugby, please heed our call. But the Saturday is a bloody doozy as well. We've got a 2 o'clock game, and that is in Samoa. And what a game that is. We've got Moana Pacifica against the Highlanders.
Oh, it's in Tonga.
Oh, it's in Tonga, Nuku'alofa. My bad. Hands on heads, weapons down. Moana Pacifica against the Highlanders. I hadn't looked. I just knew it wasn't in New Zealand, and I saw Moana Pacifica at home and knew it wasn't in Auckland, so I took a swing and evidently got it wrong. But we've got Moana Pacifica and the Highlanders in Tonga.
Yeah.
I hope they bleeped that first one out when I got it wrong. And that's going to be a doozy as well. We love these fans in the islands that seem to go absolutely ape shit for their team, so hopefully that happens. The Highlanders wearing that one. And then at 4:30 in Christchurch, the Crusaders versus the Reds, and I feel like that's a bit of a grudge match as well, a trans-Tasman grudge match after what Quade Cooper and Will Genia did to them. Was that the earthquake year where they put them at the post?
Yeah, that was the one time the Reds got up, and they've got good history there. You know, that's nice, good game. The Crusaders, I actually thought, seeing Owen Frank score his first try since 2010.
Incredible.
Only 3 tries in Super Rugby. That was amazing.
Is that 3 tries in his professional career? Would he have scored?
I don't know, and that was a super, who knows?
Yeah, because, 0 tries for the All Blacks.
Maybe one for Canterbury around the way?
I guess Canterbury he probably would have dotted down. He's probably scored a hat-trick for Canterbury, the way they thrash teams.
Dropping goals for Canterbury. That's how good they are when they go down to the next level.
He was playing first 5, actually, really running the cutter there. But what a stat, 3 tries in Super Rugby.
Do you know a lot of top All Blacks, when they go down and they play for their club, they'll play in out of position, or they'll play first 5. They just go, well, he's our best player. We want him touching the ball more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So that's why. But it's not usually a prop, but I think players like Colin Burke, can you remember him? Number 8 for the Chiefs and Bay of Plenty. He'd definitely pop up as a first 5 every now and then.
I mean, Joe Wheeler, when he played club rugby in Blenheim, played number 8 and kicked all the goals, and basically was the greatest player on the field, bar none. It was quite humiliating for other teams, I think, because he's a cocky son of a gun as well. The only time when that falls over, getting the player who comes down to play first five is when that player is Dan Carter, and he goes down and play for Southbridge and plays first five and just carves up. Everyone's like, it's not really fair you playing first five here. Like
you should be tight head prop.
You should be tight head prop. It's like when Sonny Bill went and played for Belfast or whoever he played for in Christchurch. And they're like, hey, would it be cool if you didn't play second five and just smash everyone? Would that be sweet, bro? Because we're hungover. I'm morbidly obese. This guy here hasn't had a meal in 6 weeks. He's 60 kilos. And you are literally...
I've still got my work boots on. I'm a tradie. Part of me's I've got high-vis shorts.
I've got gout and a clubfoot. It's not fair. That I actually heard, a fun fact quickly, that I think it was Graham Henry, when he was asked who the best athlete he's ever coached was, he said the best rugby player was Richie McCaw that he's ever coached, but the best out-and-out athlete he's ever coached was Sonny Bill Williams.
Yeah.
He said he's just like the peak physical condition of a human being.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he can't string a sentence together, which makes it hard to watch that Australian commentary. But sorry to be disparaging Sonny. And I've had the eyes rolled, James McOnie.
Come on, man. I mean, obviously there's broadcasters here and there, but, you know, I
pretty rich coming from me, old Laura Drew over here.
I don't actually exactly. Yeah, Laura Drew, win Laura Drew if you can. Look, basically, if you take a look at the all the players that sort of come to the media and they say, "Hey, putting my hand up, want to have a go at it," you've just got to just accept that some are like a duck to water.
Yeah,
I worked with Mark Richardson.
Yeah,
and he was born to do it. Really. In fact, he was better when you know how he got his teeth done. They look really fancy when he was working for TV3. Well, when he had those little pegs of teeth, it gave him more cut through. Really, you know.
Yeah.
It was like, this is me, Mark Richardson. I'm going to say weird shit, and this is who I am. I tell you what, once you get the veneers done, it all goes to shit. You start going down politics, lane.
Veneers do add an element, though, because they are so thick and straight. You're kind of like, Jesus, look at this horse face over here. But in a positive way, again, I feel like I've been really disparaging here. And I will say, I'll agree with you that he is one of the better ones. Sonny Bill is, for the big, hulking rugby player who does then join a team. He's decent. But I wrote this down, and I sort of mentioned it earlier because I thought, geez, what a thing to say. They cut down to him, and he said that the game at that time was a bit of an ongoing contest. And I just thought, what insight? What absolute insight that is, just to let us know that the game is still currently underway. That's the stuff we come for. Hey, sorry, Sonny, come on the pod. I love you. You know I love you. I shook your hand 3 or 4 times in real life.
Well, we're going to move on to, before we move on to the Chiefs against the Force, I just wanted to say, apart from Owen Franks, how excited I was to see Johnny McNichol running around looking that good. And just as an aside, I went on a Johnny McNichol deep dive while I was looking at tongue diving hamstrings and stuff. And then Johnny McNichol playing for Scarlets in Wales. Shit, he's a human highlight reel.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. 15 metres out, you know, from a 5 metre scrum where they give it to you, and he's about 10, 15 metres out, and he just, he's unstoppable. He's got proper feet.
Yeah.
Well, he's got proper feet.
He does have no club feet gap.
No, he's actually got real feet. And the thing is, he's got a real sidestep where he sort of sends people the wrong way. It's not just the breadth of the sidestep or the fact girth. That they're or the girth or the width. It's a proper deception anyway. The drop of the shoulder, the feint.
Yeah, the feint. Yeah, the swerve.
The swerve. He's like the head fake. Everything's going on, and I'm like, that's good shit. So Johnny McNichol, who's played for Wales, coming back at 33, I'd love to see what he could do for the rest of the season, because I'm all on board with Johnny McNichol. Skinny, fullback, from cashmere height, unfashionable. Well, fashionable. Obviously, the sweaters are nice.
Of course,
and Stephen Fleming is nice.
Oh, he is nice.
But then
he's one of those players, and we've talked about these guys before, who must have absolutely carved up at high school. It would have been unreal. I would love to know how many tries he scored in his 7th form year playing for Kashmir Boys or whatever the school is. It must have been a million.
And there would have been one sort of kid at the school who really liked doing athletics and probably wore spikes, and Johnny McNichol wandered up in barefoot and beat him in the 100.
Absolutely.
You know, and that would have really crushed him, because the kid wearing spikes would have probably invited his parents along to say, this is the day I win the Kashmir High School 100 metres and I want you to be there. And then Johnny fucking McNichol just goes, oh, is it the 100? Oh, yeah, I might go on that. And he just wanders and hops in lane 8, the last person, and just goes,
Johnny McFucknuckle, I'm sure they called him. It kind of rolls off the tongue. How does it work for... Yeah, it does roll off the tongue,
I think it's probably... Should we call him Johnny McFucknuckle?
Johnny McFucknuckle.
Okay.
Well, I mean, in terms of names that are hard, you don't want the nickname to get back to the guy. That's probably right up there. I know the AC's commentary has started calling Warrior... Mitch Barnett, Bitch Barnett, and that's one of those games that you don't want to get back to him.
Hey, bitch!
You go, the bitch. I think they're just calling him that at one stage. And I thought, geez, very brave here. The most dangerous man on the field at all times.
It's a spoonerism, isn't it? Bitch,
it is.
Bitch Barnett.
You go, yeah, you know what we're doing though. We're not calling. It's just the other way around, mate. We're not calling you a bitch.
Well, for the next game, Chiefs versus the Western Weakness. The exciting thing about this is it's on Saturday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, and you're playing the Force, so they're going to have a full Star Wars theme, including tomorrow or Thursday night on Crowd Goes Wild. We've got. I went down there to film a Star Wars, some really dodgy Star Wars action. And so they're going all in. And how good is it playing on May the 4th, playing the Force?
The Chiefs are down there.
And the Tron playing the Western Weakness. The Force are there.
Well, I've got a little bit of a mea culpa here to make. Completely apropos of nothing, we just decided to do players' names from Star Wars on Saturday night's coverage for the Highlanders versus the Force. I mean, maybe that's why we did it, because they were playing the Force theme. But we didn't know there was a May the 4th Star Wars theme coming the week after.
That is poor.
We stomped all over your
That is
there.
absolutely poor. That you can't be doing it the week before. Otherwise
we didn't know. Blame
May
Matt
the 4th
Ward.
is coming up.
Blame Matt Ward. I had nothing to do with it. He'd rehashed the one he'd done the night before to start with. He was doing war names, which he'd done the night before, and I was sort of getting him stick for that, saying, come on, buddy, you're not even putting any effort in anymore. You're just doing the same names you did last night. And so at half-time, he said, they're playing the Force. Let's do Star Wars names. So, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of good ones still out there.
The most important thing is that I got permission from Naitor Arkoi to call him Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, that is great.
So I said, is it okay if the ACC call you Jar Jar Binks? And he said, I'd prefer Obi-Wan Kenobi, but okay. Jar Jar. I went, well, yeah.
Of course.
Or Qui-Gon Jinn. He goes, Qui-Gon Jinn. And I went, it's not so much about the Star Wars thing, but he was fine.
Yeah, I hope he didn't do the voice. He didn't do the...
He did do the voice.
You didn't do the voice, though?
I didn't do the voice.
It's problematic if you do the voice.
I think it is, and that's why I didn't do the voice.
Yeah, it is. It's the only time...
So you don't have to go down that track because he did the voice.
It's slightly less problematic.
With my hand up his ass.
Oh, nice.
So
now we're talking.
That's all, yeah.
That really is exciting stuff.
Do the voice. Do the voice.
And it is great to be like, hey, instead of being the worst character in the Star Wars franchise history, can I maybe be the most beloved? Is that okay? And you're like, sorry, big guy, that's not how it works.
It's not, sorry, you are Jar Jar.
You're Jar Jar. Well, I think that's probably a good place to leave it. We'll be back next week for another thrilling episode of Champagne Rugby.
Come on back.
Go the Highlanders and come on back.